Can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast. It's like The Bachelor. The Bachelor for employers. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name's Emma. I'm a third-year journalism student who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you guys all the tips, tricks and behind-the-scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey Em, and hello everyone. This week we're talking about group interviews, where there's lots of you competing for the same job and they get you all in a room together.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've never had a group interview, but moving up here to the city, they're definitely a popular thing. Most of my friends, when applying for jobs at uni, all have had to go through group interviews.
I've actually run a lot before for various different jobs that I've recruited for. I've run kind of like an assessment centre, they're sometimes called, or a group interview. So I've got a bit of experience in kind of knowing what you look for.
Yeah, I feel a bit weird about them. Like, I feel like, don't make me compete. Like, give me a chance. Like, it's like fighting for the death, like throwing you all in a group and being like, who's going to stand out the most?
I love comparing it to like the dating world with jobs. Like, imagine you invited a whole heap of people to a date and you were like, right, I'm going to pick one of you to go out with. Like, you're
it's
all
like
here together.
Bachelor.
Yeah.
The Bachelor for employers.
That is exactly, I didn't even think of that, but that is what The Bachelor is. It's like The Bachelor.
Yeah.
That's a group interview.
Wow. Well, let's start off with, why do we do group interviews? Like, a lot of people probably feel like me, like, why are you putting us all together? What's the gist? Why do employees want to throw you all into a group interview?
Good question. So it's mostly used for jobs where you need to move really quickly, or maybe you're hiring a lot of entry-level people where you can train them to do the job. So you don't really need them to come with much experience, and mostly their attitude, their soft skills, that kind of thing are more important. Their personality is more important than what experience they've had. But most of the time, it's a time-saving exercise. So a really good example, might be Christmas casuals. That's where you tend to see them used a lot for retail stores. So if that was me, I work for a retail company at the moment. If we wanted to hire a whole heap of Christmas casuals, or even a new store opening, I might be going in for that to help them do that hiring, but I might be only flying to Melbourne for a day or 2 days. And if you're doing interviews one-on-one, let's say you spend, an hour with each person, you can only really meet 8-9 people in a day, and that's a 9-hour day that you've had. Whereas if you bring a whole heap of people in together, you could get 10 people in the room in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, you've met 20. You can suddenly fill a whole new store just in the one day. So a lot of it is about saving time and hiring in bulk, and for roles where they're not necessarily that worried about your previous experience.
Fair enough. It makes sense. I mean, like you said, it's a way to just see everybody at once, get the process rolling. Let's get into the actual interview. What are our tips? I feel like a lot of people are probably overwhelmed at how they can stand out, what they can do. Our first tip here we have is to turn up. It sounds simple, but at least 20% of the people that you book in for a group interview won't show up. That's pretty shocking, really.
Yeah, it can sometimes be as bad as about half of the people that you book in. So if I was booking in an assessment centre or a group interview, I would maybe book in 20 if I wanted to have 10 or 15 in the room at the end. It's just inevitable with these kinds of things that people don't turn up. Something's come up at the last minute, they've gotten another job, they got lost, they just changed their mind, you just didn't hear from them again. So our advice of saying turn up is lots of people get really turned off by the fact that it's a group interview. My advice is don't. Then I very much doubt that they'd bother going through the stress and the effort of a group interview if they're only going to hire one person. Chances are there's multiple jobs on offer there, potentially, 5, 6, 7 jobs. So if you turn up, you're beating all those people that didn't come.
You've got good odds.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the video interviews, like where you have to record yourself, submit a video. People balk at that too and just don't bother. But if you do that, you're actually ahead of everyone else. You're giving yourself a head start.
Absolutely.
Going into tip number 2, we have treat it like a regular interview. So all the normal things you would do at a normal interview, prepare, turn up on time, research the location, all the normal things. You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, that's right. I think just, don't take it any less seriously just because it's a group interview. Like I said, it takes a lot of effort and energy to work out what are you going to do, what time are you going to book them out for. You've got to get all those interviewers available for 2 or 3 hours, however long it is. You've got to book a room. You've got to get everything organised, a screen organised if you're going to present something. There's a lot of organisation that goes into it, and you're not going to do that unless you're really willing to give people, jobs at the end of this, right? So make sure you actually treat it like a proper interview.
For sure. And another cool tip we have here, I find this interesting, is it's not what you do, but how you do it. Because a lot of the time you'll be given activities to do where the outcomes don't really matter. You're more being assessed on how you communicate, explain yourself, deal with challenges, setbacks, teamwork. This is so interesting because I've heard a lot of my friends come back from group interviews and tell me that they were given, say, a random set, like a bra and undie set or something, and was told here you go, tell me how would you sell this or something. And a lot of the time they're like, this is so random. I don't know. Oh, it's a really cute set. Have no idea what they're doing. But
yeah,
that's interesting to know. It's probably not so much about how they specifically do it, but just how they take it on, if they look
they don't expect you to know, right? You haven't been trained yet. They're not expecting you to be as good as one of their actual people who works for them. They're not expecting you to get things right. I've seen group interviews where they give them have you ever done in a team building activity, what would you bring if you were abandoned and you were on the moon and you could only carry a certain amount of weight? And it's do you bring the matches? No, you don't, because, they're not going to be very useful when there's hardly any atmosphere. All that kind of NASA stuff. Again, totally random to the actual job you're going to be doing. I've seen examples where they get people to build something together out of clay and Play-Doh and paddle pop sticks.
The pasta and masking tape. Always.
And the marshmallow. They make you a
oh my
tower.
God, so unoriginal.
All of that sort of stuff. You're why are they getting me to do that? Again, it's got nothing to do with how you actually do the task. There's another one where you get cards, and each of you have got a piece of information, and all of you together have to read out your information, but you can't directly read it out. You have to be asked by someone else, and so it's a whole test of communication or whatever.
Or
again,
blindfolding someone and having to guide them where to step and what to do, and giving directions.
All that team building stuff.
They're so unoriginal.
They love doing that kind of stuff at assessment centres, group activities. So it doesn't matter whether you get it right, whether you are the fastest. They might have a competition.
Whether you build the strongest tower.
Exactly. It's all about how you communicate, how you explain yourself. And even if you say at the end, our tower fell over, it was actually because of these reasons, we weren't communicating and working together or whatever it is, that can actually make you stand out a lot if you're able to talk about it really well, explain it. You didn't cut people off, you weren't really bossy, all that kind of stuff. You had a good personality. It doesn't matter about the actual tower. And to your point, talking about having to sell the random bra and undie set, we used to get people to sell a washing machine because I was working for an appliance company, and we were getting people in to see how they do in a call center on the phone selling appliances. And we'd say to them, here's some basic facts about this washing machine. Go on, customer rings you up. Let's do a little role play. Sell me the washing machine. Like, we didn't expect them to actually know what to say to that person. But you wanted to know, are they going to give it a go with a bit of enthusiasm? Are they going to try and come up with something? Because the thing is, the people who really struggled and they hated it and they felt out of their comfort zone and they just, didn't want to do it, and they were like, kind of rolling their eyes.
The job's not going to work for them.
Well, when you're teaching them on the floor or, on the phones, okay, here's how you upsell, they're going to feel weird and uncomfortable and not want to have a go at that as well. So you're kind of showing your traits as a person. Are you willing to just give it a crack?
Low-key, I would love to do that.
Shoot your
because
shot.
The amount of times I've promoted washing machines in my job at appliance stores is astronomical. Like, give me a chance. Yeah,
but again, with the bra and undie set, like, just, whatever you think. Oh, well, it's my favorite color. It actually really going to bring out your eyes. The purple brings out green eyes. Make something up. Just have a crack.
Yeah.
They're going to appreciate your initiative, your personality, and the fact that you're trying to come up with something more than whether you got it right about the front clasp or the spin cycle or whatever.
Makes sense. I think that debunks a lot of mysteries. A lot of people feel like, what is the point of a group interview? And especially when you're doing these strange activities and stuff. So that's good to know. There is a reason.
Yeah.
And next tip we have is listen to others. Don't think of yourself as needing to compete or one up or be the loudest or biggest personality. I think this is true for a lot of people who feel like people that are extroverts or really confident can often kind of dominate group interviews. Like, they feel like they might not have got a lot of words in because there was just 2-3 big personalities that just dominated. But those sort of quieter people shouldn't think that it's over for them just because they weren't the loudest.
Yeah.
You're not always looking for the loudest. Is that right?
Exactly. I would say listen to other people. Show that you've heard someone else's answer if they're asking you questions. Try not to repeat someone else's answer. Like, you want to show like, oh, I listened, I had the same idea as so-and-so. And if you can remember some names, like, oh, I'm so bad at this. But if you can remember like 1 or 2 names as people say them, that'll be really good to try and work that in there, just to show that you're a team player. You're actually about collaboration, because very rarely will you go for a group interview where they're looking for someone to work by themselves in a little box and not talk to anyone.
Yeah.
You're always going to be in a team environment, right?
So next little tip we have is everything is part of the interview. Tell us about this.
So during breaks, before the interview, if there's a lunch section or a snack or whatever it is that is part of that day, it's part of the interview, and they're observing you and they're judging you essentially. Now, I don't want to freak people out about this, but it's just more of a don't let there be any
aware.
red flags. Yeah, don't tell people about your big weekend out and how you're still hungover on a Tuesday. They're going to be listening to that kind of stuff.
Or don't get your snack and go stand in the corner and have your arms folded.
Yeah, or get your phone out.
Chat to people.
Or something, if you're sitting there and they haven't started, you're waiting for people to come in, getting your phone out and scrolling. Just be mindful and be on your best behaviour. They're going to be looking out for that stuff. I was once running a group interview for childcare, and this was for kind of entry-level childcare people. And we'd done a session in the office, and we're actually walking up the road to go to one of the childcare centres to do an actual session of interacting with the kids and seeing how they went. So we had to walk the whole group along the road, and one guy said to me, "Oh, is it okay if I smoke?" And I was like, "Look, I'm not your mum, I'm not your teacher. You can do whatever you want." But really?
Is that wise? No.
Really? Do you have to have a cigarette now? Can't you wait? We're just going into a childcare centre for you to play with the kids. I'm thinking, okay, this guy can't go 2 hours without a cigarette. How's he going to go in front of the kids, I just...
Yeah.
it's not a good look for you to be throwing out those kind of things. And he probably thought, oh, well, this is not part of the interview, the walking part. Well,
Yeah,
it is,
right.
you know,
It
like
still
if I
is.
hear
You're still
something
presenting
concerning,
yourself.
yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm not listening because we're not in the
Yeah.
session. So yeah, definitely just something to be aware of.
Awesome. And we have a last little tip to round out this episode. We have be yourself. It sounds cliche, but Sarah will tell us why it's not cliche.
Yeah, so this touches on what you were talking about before, Em. I actually read one article online, and far out there is some terrible advice out there. It said you should take charge as early as possible and be the leader and be assertive.
No.
They're looking for the biggest personality in the room. Oh my God. Like, don't do that at all. That's bad. It's absolutely
I
not
feel like
necessary.
anyone that does that, it's like if I was the group interviewer, it would be like immediately no, like simmer down. Like
I don't want to work with
Who
Emma.
is
She's
this?
too much.
They're going to yell over the top of me all the time.
Exactly. Because they're not looking for you to be the manager. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you
this
would be in
isn't
a
CEO
management.
hiring.
Exactly. They're looking for you to be able to follow instructions, do what you're told, you know, complete the
along with team
activity.
members.
Exactly. And what I would actually say as well is they will watch everyone. That's their job. Like there's maybe one or two or maybe even three or more people in there observing you and writing notes and things like that. Their one and only job in that session is to make sure that they look at everyone. So don't worry about being missed or like they're going to forget about you. Their job is to make sure that they observe everyone. And what they're actually looking for, I would say, because they're looking to make multiple hires, they're not looking for, have I seen that? Have I seen that? They're looking for red flags. And as long as you don't come up on the red flags list, like say if there's a room of 10 people and they're looking to hire 6 of you, just don't be one of the red flags.
Yeah,
and you're going to get a
you're all
job,
looking good.
if like being in the middle, it's great. Like you're going to get through.
Great advice. Now, before we wrap up this episode, we just wanted to give a listener shout out to our lovely little listener friend, Georgia. We got a message this week from Georgia who recently landed 2 job offers in communications and media and now has to decide between 2 of them. She loved our episode about preparing for an interview. She focused on knowing her experience really well, which helped her storytelling. Her other big success was asking her interviewers what their biggest career highlights were. They were surprised but loved talking about their passion. And that was from our episode on questions to ask at the end of an interview.
Yeah.
So
congratulations, Georgia. We hope you love your new job, whichever one it is that you choose. And if you're out there and we've helped you in your job search, send us a message and let us know. We'd love to share your experience and maybe we can even help some other listeners too.
That's it. Thanks so much for listening today. We've debunked the scary group interviews. We've given you some tips. Turn up, treat it like a regular interview. Everything is part of the interview. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Listen to others and be yourself. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back in your ears next week.
See ya. Thanks so much for listening to Interview Boss. If you want to hear more from us, make sure you hit subscribe. We're a new podcast, so if you liked this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you could give us a review so we can help even more people. For more advice, inspiration, and a supportive community, join us in the Interview Boss Facebook group.
If we've been your job search besties and helped you in some way, there's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
We get a huge kick out of reading all of your success stories. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss and shout us a cuppa.
If you keep us caffeinated, we can keep the content coming.